very well might regret this video simply because I'm filming it on my phone and I'm filming it with the front camera. So the quality might be really bad by the time I actually edit it and upload it onto YouTube. But I'm 36 weeks pregnant and I'm tired. And the idea of setting up my professional DSLR camera and lighting and everything to make a higher quality video for you guys is not filling me with a lot of motivation and excitement to film the video. And I'm really in the mood just to have a chilled, sit down, raw, chit-chatty video with you guys, because I've been going through a lot recently. The past month of this pregnancy has been really tough for me, emotionally and physically, I guess. And I've been feeling a lot of anxiety about having this second baby. So I'm going to give myself a break and not worry about the quality of this video so much. And I hope you guys don't mind, and hopefully you guys will subscribe and follow anyway and leave me some nice comments down below to make me feel better about the situation. And it'll also be a good test for me to see if the quality really is that bad, because I think if I could film and edit and upload on my phone, you would see a lot more from me, trust me. And I am due my second baby in 4 weeks today. Today is the 26th of February, the day I film this anyway, and I'm due the 26th of March. So 4 weeks today, maybe sooner if I have to get a C-section, but we will get onto that later. But I would love to film the newborn stage for you guys. I would love to film the postpartum period again. I intended to do that a year and a half ago when I had my first son, and I didn't, because the pressure of setting up a camera and everything was just too much to manage. So if this quality surpasses my expectations and it's a little bit better than I thought it would be, or if it's just okay quality, then I will probably post a lot more for you guys. I'd love to film a video and post at least once a week. It's what I've promised on this channel, and it's what I would really like to do. And I feel like I owe it to myself, because I've wanted a YouTube channel since I was 18 years old and I'm now 30. But anyway, this is just a raw chit chat video, sit down, chatting as if you are my friends, and I'm drinking my coffee. And I just want to go through what the crack is basically with this pregnancy. So I'm very new to YouTube and I only have 40 subscribers on this channel, and so there's a very slim chance that you know a lot about me unless you're following me from Instagram. But my name is Zoe. I'm a 30-year-old mum of almost 2 under 2. So I gave birth on the 26th of July 2020, right in the middle of a pandemic, to my precious son, and I love him so much. He is the light of my life. He is the best child in the world, and I know every mother feels that way about their own children. But mine really is. He's the best kid ever. So he makes this journey into motherhood a little bit more tolerable and a little bit easier, considering the journey is not easy. Certainly not as easy as I thought it would be. But he turns 19 months old today, and I'm due baby number 2. I'll just show you my bump if I can. There we go, baby number 2, right in there. I'm due him or her, surprise gender, in 4 weeks today. I'm just trying to straighten the tripod again. So another 26th due date. My first son was due on the 26th of July and I gave birth on the 26th of July. This one's due the 26th of March. That'll be really funny if I gave birth on the 26th of March. Statistically, I doubt that would happen. It's also my little cousin's second birthday today. He was born the 26th of February 2020. So 26 is a good number in my life apparently. And this baby was also planned. So even though our babies are going to be very, very close together, I have been asked that question because I'll have 2 under 2. But 2 under 2 is so common. You know, I'm not unique that I'm going to have a 20-month age gap. But I have been asked if this baby was planned, and the answer is yes. And even if it wasn't, I would love them all the same. So I chose to have them close together, knowing that it's going to be a really rough journey. And that might be quite pessimistic of me. But I found the first year of motherhood really tough for several reasons. I had a little touch of postpartum depression, around the 7-8 month mark, and that was probably because I stopped breastfeeding around that time. So that can happen, but also I am susceptible to feeling low. I don't suffer with depression in the sense that I know there's so many other people out there that have it a lot worse than me. And I don't suffer with anxiety. Like, I've never been diagnosed with depression or anxiety from my doctor, but I have been offered medication outside of pregnancies and during pregnancy. I was offered medication for this one. I fell pregnant when my first was 11 months old. The postpartum depression hit me around 8 months. So I had been on the phone to my doctors around the 8-9 month stage, and I was telling them how I felt, and they kind of really only started doing something about it around the 11-12 month mark. And of course I knew I was expecting this baby, so I decided to not have any medication, and I thought I could manage my emotions without the medication. But I promised myself that if I got worse and if I felt like I did need the extra help, then I would take the medication. I did a little bit of research. I didn't do a lot of research into it, but my GP and my doctors, they described everything to me very well over the phone, so I grasped what they were trying to say. And there were obviously some risks and downsides to taking that medication whilst being pregnant. However, the risks were outweighed massively if you were extremely depressed or anxious and you didn't take medication, so that could be more harmful for your baby. So although I didn't take medication, if you're watching this video as a mother who is feeling depressed, low or anxious during pregnancy and you feel like you really can't cope, then it is better for your baby and for you to take the medication. Always speak to your doctor and your GP about that. This video isn't about depression or anxiety through pregnancy or postpartum period, but that was my experience. So I did get hit with that whenever I stopped breastfeeding my little boy. And equally, I felt extremely isolated during motherhood. None of my close friends were mothers over here. I lived in England for 6 years, and then whenever I moved back to Northern Ireland, I really knuckled down and ran my business, and I didn't have much of a social life. I didn't have many people in my life. And then I moved to Belfast a few years ago. Belfast is where my partner is from, and this is where we decided to rent. And I extended my business a little bit to the Belfast region, and I was doing well. And I did make more friends in the Belfast region, but out of those friends, I was the first to go through pregnancy and childbirth and raising a child. So I did feel extremely isolated, and that didn't help. Now, I had spoken to other mums through Instagram and everything, and I highly suggest doing that, just reaching out to other people in your area that are mums and be like, hey, we have loads in common, let's be friends. And so I did meet people that way, but because of COVID, we weren't really meeting up face to face. We weren't able to give each other that same quality of one-to-one support during our motherhood journey. There was no mums and tots groups on, and there was no nurseries. Even health visitors weren't really coming out to see mothers as much. So I felt extremely isolated on top of the postpartum depression. And then equally, my business closed down because of COVID. So I ran a salon business. I had a hair extension specialist salon, a supply store, a wholesale supply store, and an online and one-to-one training academy. And I absolutely loved that business. I ran it for 8 years, and it was growing and it was doing really well. And my main motivation behind starting that business was because I knew that I wanted to have children one day. So I started the business when I was 21. I fell pregnant when I was 27, about to turn 28. And I was so happy that I had this income. You know, I had staff and I didn't have to go to work and be away from my babies. That was always my intention and my plan. But then COVID hit and that was taken away from me, and that's fine. I know there are a lot of people that are a lot worse off, so I'm not complaining. And I think COVID taught me a lot of valuable lessons as well. We did have our own savings, which helped a lot. And I was getting government help as well because I was a rates payer in my business, and I paid for a premises. So while that premises had to be closed down, I still had bills to pay. So the government, I must say, the government helped businesses a lot, in my opinion. I know we are going to have to start paying that back someday, but they helped a lot, in my opinion. And they did give me some grants and things. So I was able to cover my business expenses and still have money to live off. I'm just readjusting a little bit there. That feels a little bit better, like I'm speaking straight ahead rather than up or down. I don't know, I'm still figuring this YouTube thing out. So those were the main things that I found hard outside of actually looking after a child, was that losing the business, losing my financial independence, isolation, and a bit of postpartum depression. Outside of that, I found the first year tough just because of lack of sleep on top of everything else. I suffered a little bit with mastitis during my breastfeeding journey, and that was painful. And then just the emotional exhaustion. I think I was a lot more controlling than I thought I was at the time. And actually I have asked people and they were like, no, you were a super chilled mum in the first year. Like I couldn't believe just like how laid back and chilled you were. And I felt that at the time. But looking back, I do think I was a bit highly strung, anxious, and a bit controlling in some ways. But I mean, I'm a mum, I'm going to control things to a certain degree because I want the best for my child. So I won't be faulted for it, and I certainly don't feel guilty about it. But looking back, I do think I was like high alert a lot of the time, and I worried about a lot of stuff. I also experienced an anxiety that I had never experienced before, in the sense that I had like so many intrusive thoughts about things that could go wrong in life for my child, or things that could hurt him or injure him. Really over dramatic things that are very, very unlikely to happen, but I would have like real visual images of that. I would go into a daydream and I would conjure up scenarios of things that could happen, and that was really, really tough. And then if I told my partner about them, he was a bit annoyed. He was like, why are you telling me that? Like, I don't want those mental images of our child. So I felt like I couldn't really tell anyone, because if I told people outside of our family circle, they'd think I was crazy. So there was all of that as well. Needless to say, it was still incredible because we decided to have another. And we started talking about baby number 2 when baby number 1 was only 3 months old. And I was back and forward. I think as every parent is, like, should we just go ahead and be in the nappy, poopy, vomiting, breastfeeding, bottle feeding stage and just stay in that stage by having more? Or do we give ourselves a chance to recover? And there's no right or wrong answer, obviously. But, and we didn't start trying when my little boy was 3 months. We were back and forward for some time, and I knew I was breastfeeding anyway, so the likelihood of my fertility coming back and ovulation was slimmer. When I finished breastfeeding him around 7 months, I was still pumping, and because I still wanted him to have the breast milk, but I didn't want my nipples to be bleeding anymore, because he had 8 teeth by the time he was 8 months old, 4 teeth by the time he was 4 months old. And it was not pleasant. I don't think I would pump again. We'll see how this goes. You never really know how you're going to navigate motherhood again with first or second or third child, or any subsequent pregnancy. You never really know until you're in it, but I don't think I would put myself through the pumping situation again. My reality looked a little bit like this. So I was putting my little boy to bed at 7 p.m. every night, roughly. Obviously he was very young, so it was as and when it worked. And we'd put the dinner on, and then we'd put the Vikings on. We were binge watching the Vikings at this time, and we'd have the fire lit, and that was lovely things to do. But then I would sit with this big pump on for an hour and hurt myself to get a litre of milk out. I would put myself through physical pain to get a lot of milk, and I was able to pump about 900 mils in 2 settings. I think I did one in the morning, one in the evening, so it was something like that. But it was painful and it was loud and it sounded like a dairy farm. So looking back, I don't think I would do that again just for the sake of giving him breast milk for an extra month. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with formula. But again, that could have been one of those first time mum wanting to do everything right scenarios again. We also weaned him around 6 months old, and I find that really stressful. Probably I had this expectation in my head that it would be really fun, really enjoyable, and I love feeding my child. I still, to this day, he's a year and a half, he's over a year and a half, and I love watching him eat. So I had this thing in my head that I was this Irish mummy that would love to feed their kid, and I didn't enjoy it at all. The weaning stage gave me so much anxiety as well, to the point I just had to take a step back and be like, look, if he eats a bit of broccoli today and he doesn't eat anything tomorrow other than his balls or his milk, then that's fine. So this time around, I'm definitely going to take that approach as well. And I will say my son is a fantastic eater, but I didn't enjoy the weaning stage. Come summer, things started to lift for me energetically a little bit because the sun was out and it was beautiful, and we were living in such a lovely house with a large piece of land to it, rented at the time. And that is around the time that we did start trying for baby number 2. We were also in the process of viewing and putting in offers for properties because we wanted to buy our first home. We made an investment which paid off for us, which I can't give any advice around. It was in cryptocurrency. We got lucky, very lucky, and I know nothing about cryptocurrency outside of that. But we were able to purchase a house that needed quite a lot of work done to it, but in a really good area that we wanted to live in Belfast. So that all kind of worked out for us, and I fell pregnant the month that we got the phone call from the mortgage advisor, or from the estate agent, to say that we were accepted, which was amazing. And we then got the positive pregnancy test, and we were like, shit, I'm pregnant and we have a house renovation to do. And we were time pressured to get out of the rental property as well, so it was all go, go, go. And we did actually complete the renovation within 3 months, and we were able to move in, and now we're still just slowly putting our stamp on it. And this wall, by the way, and this wall is going to be pink by the time this baby arrives. And I don't know if that's my body's way of telling me that I'm having a girl. Who knows? Baby number 2 was very much wanted and planned, and I was very, very excited that I'm going to have 2 kids so close in age, because although I do think it's going to be harder in the beginning to have a toddler who wants me and needs his mummy and still takes bottles and still wakes up through the night sometimes, and he wants my attention, and you know, I'm going to have that plus a newborn. So I physically cannot split myself in 2, but I feel like I'm going to mentally be split into like a million different pieces, and then I'm going to have that guilt of not being able to manage all of it. I hope I don't have that guilt, because I actually get really frustrated whenever other mums say that they feel guilty for X, Y, and Z, because I think it subliminally is telling other mothers reasons that they should feel guilty as well. And I don't think it's helpful. So I'm going to try and keep the word guilty out of this YouTube channel. But naturally, I probably will feel a certain level of guilt for my toddler. We do have grandparents that just obviously love my son, so they know, and they also had 2 children, so they know what it's like, in the sense that the older one's going to need that bit of extra attention. So they're very, very prepared to be all hands on deck and spoil him and take him to the zoo and take him to like the science museums or the park, beach, whatever. Now that I am 36 weeks, I feel very, very pregnant. And I felt nauseous first trimester and tired, obviously, like I did with my first baby. Second trimester, I was fine. But my first pregnancy, I had a lot of pain to manage. It was excruciating pain in my lower back. And I had a lot of UTIs as well, which I didn't actually know that was contributing to my back pain until I kept literally getting prescribed antibiotics for more UTIs. This one, I haven't experienced that, so that is so good. But now this one, the 3rd trimester, feels a lot worse than the third trimester did with my first. I'm extremely tired, extremely hormonal. I'm crying a lot. I feel impatient a lot more than I did the first time round, but that could be because I have a toddler demanding my attention. And although I'm not impatient with him directly, I do have to take a step back when he is making me angry, when he's making me feel frustrated because he's just wanting mummy, mummy, mummy. And I know it's not his fault, so I do have to take a step back and go, okay, he's 1.5. He wants his mummy. He doesn't understand that I'm pregnant, so it does help. But obviously the first time round I was able just to lie in bed and sleep and do whatever I wanted, and I had my little kitten, so you know, I didn't have much else responsibility, and COVID obviously closed my business, so I didn't have to work either. But this time round I'm a lot busier. And I also have more like financial stresses this time round as well, because I've been a mum for 19 months now. It's really hit me recently that I no longer have my business, and it didn't come back. In January I relaunched my hair extension salon business, and the customers didn't come flooding back the way I thought they would. I've also experienced some supply store issues, which I wasn't expecting, because obviously once we were right in the middle of COVID in 2020, I closed the business, so I haven't been in business throughout the majority of like just, you know, businesses closing down, and manufacturing issues, import issues, Brexit. I didn't deal with Brexit through my business because it was already closed down. And now that I've reopened it, I'm realizing that there's a lot to navigate. There's a lot of challenges that I didn't expect. Delays, as I've said, import issues, and customer finances as well aren't as free flowing. Not everybody has the same amount of money to invest in hair extensions all the time right now. So I'm re-navigating the way I operate my business, and I'm having to make choices. I also used to have my own supply store, so it was very easy for a customer to come to my salon and get hair extensions fitted, whereas now I have to order that in. And again, the delays, I'm offering refunds to people because the hair is not turning up on time. So there's things like that that's giving me an extra element of stress. And then I had intended to have my business set up in a way that I can make some passive income before this baby arrives, and that hasn't happened yet. But it's okay, you know, like, again, there is so much worse happening in the world, and it, you know, it bothers me that I've lost that bit of my identity, and that I always saw myself as an entrepreneurial mum. But the reality is right now that I'm just a mum. And I hate the just a mum thing, but that a lot of the time I do feel like I'm just a mum. And I am working on my business, but I have to accept that it's going to take a little bit more time, and I need to slow down a little bit more. And with this baby, I do think I'm going to appreciate the newborn stage a bit more, because it goes in so quickly that hopefully this is just pre-birth anxieties that I'm just overthinking and over panicking. But once the baby's here, I'm going to be like, do you know what? Money doesn't matter right now. This baby and my toddler matters right now, and that's it. Other than that, I'm also experiencing a bit of anxiety that I think I can't speak for parents, I can't speak for fathers as such. From my partner's point of view, he is actually looking forward to the newborn stage more than he was the first time. Not looking forward to it the first time, it's like he thinks he's going to appreciate it more this time round, because the first time it hits you like a ton of bricks, like there's a person that I need to look after, and it can be scary and overwhelming. This time we know exactly what to expect, and we also appreciate how quickly it goes in. So all those milestones, we might be like, oh, it's another little milestone. Equally, this could be our last child. So for every milestone, we're also like, that's the last time we're going to experience that. So we might savor the moments a little bit more. For me, I was very naive going into motherhood, so I wasn't expecting all of the challenges, whereas this time I know exactly what to expect, and I'm nervous. I am a bit anxious about it. And then I'm experiencing the same issues that most mothers feel, with this fear of not bonding with your baby as much as you did with your first, or the fear of not loving your second, third, fourth child as much as you love your first. That's very, very common. I don't feel guilty for saying that. I'm not going to beat myself up because I know it's not true, and I know as soon as the baby arrives, I'm going to be overwhelmed with joy and love, and within a few weeks I'm going to be like, I don't remember life without these two children in my life. I'm also very excited to see my toddler become a big brother. He has been around a newborn recently, and we took his dummy away, and I thought he was going to take the dummy off the newborn, but instead he was like picking it up and giving it to her. And he was only 17 months old at the time, so I have no doubt that he's going to be a fantastic big brother, and I'm really, really excited to see how he is with this little sister or brother of his. He also makes sure all his animals and teddy bears are fed every day, and gives them bottles and gives them dummies, and he does feed our cat by himself. So I think he's going to be excellent, and that's going to be such a blessing to witness. I'm just worried that, like, I'm not worried anymore, but it's a worry that I have been going through the past 3 or 4 weeks, that I'm not going to connect with this baby as much, and that I'm always going to have a favorite child, and that terrified me for a while, but I know it's not the case. So if you've been feeling like that as well, I have spoken about this on social media, on Instagram and TikTok, and I had so many positive comments from mothers that have more than one child, and they're like, it doesn't happen, you know. As soon as you hear your baby cry, you're like, whew, I have another child that I love just as much as my first. So that's good. I'm going to do a video next about all the things that I have bought to prepare for baby number 2. I will give you a spoiler, it's not very much at all. Very, very minimal collection. I think I've spent like no more than 50 quid for this second baby, because we have everything from the first. But I've been watching a few other YouTube videos, like essentials for 2 under 2, and things I've bought to prepare for my second child and things, and the list is crazy. It's kind of outrageous. So I want to do my version of it and show you what you actually need. If you pretty much have everything from the first, there really isn't that much. But I'll just do another general video of like things in general that I'm doing to prepare for 2 under 2, because that's a very different story. And I've been asking a lot, because of all this anxiety, I've been asking other mothers, like, what's your survival tips to get through having 2 children under the age of 2? So that video is coming up next. I hope you enjoyed this chit chat. I know it maybe wasn't very useful for you, but I felt like I needed to get some things off my chest so I can reset a little bit. And I've been experiencing a lot of guilt for not putting up videos whenever I said that I would. I've only put up 3 videos. This will now be the 4th. I did film quite a lot of property related videos, and I have edited some of them. I just haven't posted them for some reason. I guess I'll just post them up soon as well. But I really just wanted to sit down and do a raw chit chat video from a mum and tell you all about what I'm feeling. And I hope it was enjoyable to listen to or at least somewhat relatable. So if you did like it, I would love it if you subscribed. My Instagram and TikTok is down below. My landing page is down below as well. And I would love you to share with your friends, or leave some comments down below, like any words of encouragement. I forgot to mention my baby is breech as well, so that's been adding an additional layer of stress. I do have an appointment in 2 days time, which will be my 36 week and a bit appointment to check the position of the baby, and we'll put a plan in place. I might need another C-section. I will do a full video about all of the things we've found out about baby number 2 and the additional layers of stress that has added into my life, because I don't want this video to be too long. But anyway, stay tuned for all of that, and I will see you in the next video.